Now, there's been a split in the Australian Republican movement over, of all things, the war in the Middle East, Israel's war with Hamas. Olympian and former Labor Senator Nova Peris has quit as co-chair, saying her relationship with former Socceroo and fellow co-chair Craig Foster is no longer workable over his social media posts about Israel, accusing that country of the gravest crimes against humanity, of apartheid and genocide. Nova Peris joins me now live from Darwin. Great to talk to you, Nova. You've been very strong and passionate in your defence of Israel and its right to defend itself. It seems extraordinary that this issue could play its way into the Australian Republican movement.
Well, I guess the ARM is just one of many, organisations, and we see, a lot of split within party rooms with regards to it. And I sort of feel that the position that I have in this is to do what is right as a co-chair for the betterment of this country, to unite Australians. And I think, what Craig Foster has done has created division. And in our roles as, co-chairs, our positions, we need to hold the utmost truth. If we are to unite this country to have gone to a referendum for us to become a republic. And I was quite disappointed with his commentary and, his reference to mass slaughter of innocent Palestinians. We should be upholding truth and we should be upholding objective dialogue rather than smear tactics and inaccurate language around genocide and apartheid.
Absolutely. He's been talking a lot of nonsense. Just to be clear with viewers, he's suggesting Israel should be banned from global football competitions, soccer competitions. This is while countries like Iran, Syria, even a sort of a pretend Palestinian team have played. These could all play, but not Israel, apparently. Here's some of Craig Foster on Sky News last week with Danica DiGiorgio.
When it comes to human rights, every single country, including us, has human rights abuses. Mm-hmm. So what sport has to ask is, what is the threshold, below which a country has to be banned? And so in my view, at the very least, and there's no objective, sport is all over the place because it's very political, right? It just makes own decisions.
Yep. Okay.
It's as political as anything. So the question for all of us is, what is the basic premise at which you say, OK, now sport must ban that? And in my view, it is the two most egregious crimes against humanity, which is genocide and is apartheid.
Yeah, look, it's just such erroneous and offensive stuff. I mean, firstly, it doesn't matter how they treat women in Iran or Saudi Arabia. Apparently, it's all right for them to play in world football. But he picks on soccer with these false claims of genocide and of apartheid. They're absolutely untrue, extremist language. You must be concerned that just diminishes the Australian Republican movement. Mainstream Australians aren't going to want to be involved in an organisation whose head speaks like that about the Middle East.
Well, that's correct. And you would expect for us in our position to uphold truth and facts. And the fact that the ICJ, what he was saying, that it was plausible genocide, when in actual fact, the outcome of it was that Palestinians have a plausible right to be protected from genocide. And, the ICJ also refused a request, as we know, from South Africa to order a ceasefire, which legitimately gives Israel the right to defend itself. And for Craig to be talking about mass slaughter, Chris, I went to Israel. I spent 10 days on the ground. There is no apartheid in Israel.
Of course
there are 9.5 million people in Israel, and 2 million of those are Arab Israelis or Arab Palestinians that enjoy the utmost freedom in that country.
Yeah, well, they get a vote, which they don't get in most Arab countries. Just briefly, before I let you go, Nova, you're speaking so much sense. You've stood up for truth and honesty here. Shouldn't you be the one staying on with the Australian Republican movement and Craig Foster be the one resigning?
Look, I had to. This is also a moral stance, because the Jewish community are also hurting, and I sort of feel that there's not a lot of leadership on this to bring about truth and sensibility. And for myself, Craig wants to talk about banning Israel, and FIFA. They prolonged the vote. Football Australia said that they weren't going to get involved, and if there was a vote, that they were going to abstain. And, we're talking about Palestine also coming here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, playing Australia
on
our home soil after, 1,400 people were mass slaughtered in one single day, and I was there to bear witness to all of that. So, do you know what? I love the Republican movement. I would always support them, and I'll continue to support them. But I just had to draw a line in the sand and remove myself from, Craig also being applauded by Nasser Mashini, who is congratulating Craig along the way. And the other disgusting thing about this guy, who's been arrested, is known has a criminal history, hates his country. In his own words, he said that Israel and Australia share two things in common. Aside from being a shithole racist settler colony, they also have the highest incidence of skin cancer. Their skin is designed for Northern Europe.
Just shocking stuff. Shocking stuff directed. Yep. Thanks so much for bringing that to our attention.
The disrespect that they've also shown our Anzac on April 25 should also be noted. And I'm calling on Australians to not put up with this anymore. They need to rise up and push back and make this country great. What we've always known it for.
Stand up for our values. Thanks so much, Nova Peris. Really great for you to join us. And she's standing up for her values, even though it's cost her that job. Very, very important point she's making there. Got to stand up for the values of this country and stand by our allies. And most importantly, on a debate like this, stand by the truth and reality, not hysterical claims against Israel. Now, Nova Peris is going to join the documentary that you've all heard about, hosted by Josh Frydenberg, Never Again, the fight against anti-Semitism. That's on Sky News next Tuesday, the 28th at 7 o'clock. Don't miss it. Nova is one of the contributors there. Plenty of other great names as well.